And we're now at lesson 6, so congratulations for making it this far. I hope that you are using the resources that we have in the links on the description. We've got those PDFs for you to print off so you can play the songs. We've got some flashcard videos in there that you can use to review all the different symbols and some of the concepts that we've talked about. And those are really beneficial for you. They're just short little videos. Like each lesson might have a couple variations, so they're not always in the same order. And those would be extremely helpful if you would just review those from time to time. Our goals for this lesson are to get you some more musical symbols so you can start to become familiar with them. We're going to discuss how to know whether to play that smooth or choppy that we talked about way back in the beginning when we talked about the ways to vary the sounds. So how do you know if it's supposed to be smooth or choppy? We're going to get into that today. And then also we're going to get into a little bit more of the measures, those sections of music, and how to count the beats in the measure. One of the benefits of knowing how to count now is that when your music gets more complex and you're trying to figure out exactly what the timing is in the rhythm, you'll be familiar with counting and you'll be able to figure those timings out. So that's real important down the road. So real quick review, we've got all those symbols that we've talked about so far. We've got the louds and the softs, the fortissimos, pianissimos, we've got accents, we've got time signatures and bar lines and measures and those tempo or the speed indicators, the tempo marks. We've got lots of things for you to review, all those symbols, so keep doing that like I said. And then we talked a little bit about beat versus rhythm. Beat is that silent drum. It's just beating in your head the whole time you're playing. It can be a fast beat. It can be a slow beat. But that drum, that silent drum, is going to stay even the whole time you play the piece unless it indicates a change. And that's really important when you get more than one musician involved at a time. If you've got singers, if you've got other instruments, keeping that beat even will help everyone to stay together. And that's really important. And then the rhythm is the longs and the shorts and the rests. What can wash away my sin? Nothing but the blood of Jesus. Or maybe, Jesus loves me, this I know, for the Bible tells me so. Now that particular rhythm pretty much has a note on every beat until you get to the end of each line where there's a half note. So some rhythms are going to be very similar to the beat and some are going to be very different. So let's talk about that smooth and choppy that we mentioned earlier. So how do you know if you're supposed to play smooth or choppy? And again, smooth is you hold one key down until it's time for the next one. It can be very slow. It can be fast. And then as opposed to that, the other we have is choppy, where the notes are detached. They're not connected to each other. Now, one important thing, the smooth does not mean that we do this. We don't hold all 3 down or hold all 4 down, whatever it is. We just play one until it's time for the next one. So don't confuse that. So the choppy is usually indicated by what we call a staccato dot. You can see that here. Now this dot is going to be underneath the ball of the note if the stem points up, and it's going to be above the ball of the note if the stem points down. So a dot above or below that note is going to mean staccato, and that just means that you play it quickly and you release it. Almost like the piano's hot and you have to play the note, but you don't want to touch it for very long. So that's the basic idea of staccato. Notice that that dot is not on the side like our half note dot. That's very different. A dot on the side makes the note longer. A dot above or below the note is going to chop it off. Now, the next symbol that we have for how to know that we're going to play smoothly is this curved line. Now, it can be above the notes, it can be under the notes. That really doesn't matter for how to play it. But the curved line is going to mean that you play everything from that first note of the curve to the end of the curve, and you play it all smoothly. We call that legato. That's another Italian word. Now, there is another curved line in music that we'll talk about later that connects 2 notes that are the same note. That's not this. This curved line either connects 2 notes that are different or it connects more than two notes. And that means you're going to play them smoothly. And now, sometimes at the end of a song, you find that you're slowing the song down intentionally. And a lot of times your song leader may do that. Sometimes they don't even realize they're doing it, but it just kind of signals to everyone that this is the end of the song. And that's indicated in the music by the word ritardando. Now that's a very long word to fit into a small space. So sometimes you'll see it shortened up to retard, and sometimes you'll see it as just the RIT, the rit with the period there. So rit, retard, retardando, they all mean the same thing. They mean to gradually slow down. Most of the time you're going to see this at the end of your music until you get into more complex pieces. Another indicator that tells you to slow down just one individual note is this one right here. This is called a fermata. You may hear it called a bird's eye just because of the appearance of it. It's got that dot with the big eyebrow over top of it. This can be flipped upside down to go underneath of a low note, or it can look like this when it's on top of a high note. And that means you're going to slow down just that note, and you're going to hold it a reasonable amount of time. It doesn't specify exactly how long, but you just kind of use some common sense. Most common illustration of this is happy birthday, dear Judy. You know, we hold that note out. And that would have one of these fermatas over top of it, one of these bird's eyes. Let's talk a little bit more about the time signature concept that we talked about in the earlier video. That's going to be these numbers that you will see at the beginning of a song. It could be 4/4, it could be 3/4, it could be 6/8, it could be 2/4. There are a lot of different time signatures. And right now we're going to focus on the 4/4 and the 3/4. Those are probably the most common ones you're going to find in hymns. Now, the way that God created music, every so often there's just an accented beat or an accented word, and it's just the way God created the music. And that's going to indicate whether you've got 4 beats or whether you've got 3 beats. Okay, something like, God is so good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That naturally falls into groups of 4 beats. So that song is in 4/4 timing. Now, the vast majority of the hymns in the hymn book are going to be in 4/4 timing. But you will find many hymns in 3/4. Probably one of the most well-known hymns that's in 3/4 timing is To God Be the Glory. 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. It just kind of falls into the feel of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And so that song is in what we call 3/4 timing. We're not worried about that bottom number for now. That just means that a quarter note's going to get a beat, and we've already discussed that when we talked about the timing. So that's our time signature. You're going to find it at the beginning of a song, just like you see here, and it will be that way for the entire song. Now, it is possible that you may see a note or two before the first bar line with maybe one word attached to it. And then it's also possible in that same song that your very last measure might not have the full amount of beats. For instance, if it's in 4/4 timing, you may find a measure with just 1 or 2 beats at the beginning of the song, and then a measure with just 3 at the end of the song. And those measures are what we call split measure. When you put those two together, you get your 4 beats. So when you finish one verse and go right into the next verse, you would have 4 beats in that measure. That's just a bonus. That's not even going to be a flashcard. Now, just as a side note, as of the time of the recording of this, which is late winter of 2025, we have started putting together the first set of beginner lessons. And so you can watch for those. If you're watching this in late winter 2025, there's no link below, but if you're watching it later than that, check the links below, and you can check out our actual beginner series where we get you started with note reading, playing from lead sheets, working with chords, all those wonderful things that are going to make you into a fun pianist. So let's talk for just a minute about counting our beats. Now, kudos to you if you just noticed that my hair and my clothes have changed. Yes, I was editing this lesson and realized that I had told you we were going to talk about counting our notes and counting our beats, and I didn't do that, so I had to jump back in and do this. So let's get into that, okay? So we've talked about how each measure has to have the same amount of beats in it, and we're going to use 4/4 as our example. So if we have a measure with 4/4 with 4 beats in it, we're going to actually count 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Every measure we can count to 4. Those are our beats. Each beat gets a number, okay? So if we have 4 quarter notes, it's quarter, 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 quarter. We count it 1, 2, 3, 4. If we have 2 half notes, we're going to play this note and hold it for 2, the second one, and play this note and hold it for the next number. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. If we're saying the kind of note, it's half note, half note, half note, half note, or 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so they get 2 numbers if they're half notes and get 2 beats, because each beat is represented by a number. So if we've got dotted half notes, what did we say? We said those were 3. So it would be 1, 2, 3. And then if we had a quarter note to make our 4, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. If we're saying the kinds of notes, it's half note, dot, quarter, half note, dot, quarter. It could be quarter, half note, dot, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so however many beats that note gets, that's how many numbers it gets when we count our beats. So what about that whole note? He's 4 beats. He's all together. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or whole note, hold down. Whole note, hold down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so real quick again, if we have quarter notes, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Half notes, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Dotted half note with the quarter. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or switch it. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or the whole note. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So when God is so good, we have half note, quarter, quarter, and a whole note. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. If we're saying the kinds of notes like we've asked you to do when you play, sometimes it's half note, quarter, quarter, whole note, hold down, half note, quarter, quarter, whole note, hold down. Okay, hope that makes sense. If you have any questions, mention in the comments that you have a question and we will revisit this. Okay, so the songs that we're going to do in this lesson are Happy Birthday, and we're going to do this one with the letters, and we're going to do The Wise Man. Now this one we're going to do with the notes with the letters on them that we talked about and started last week. You're also going to notice some bar lines and some time signatures showing up in your music. All right, so our Happy Birthday, we're going to go back to the position that we're used to with your thumbs, both thumbs sharing middle C. And we're going to start with the forefinger on the left hand on the G. Here we go. G, G, A, G, C, B. G, G, A, G, D, C. G, 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 E, C, B, A. And we hold that a little. F, F, E, C, D, C. Okay. Now, you notice that I didn't say C hold, I said C, because when we get into playing by notes, we're not going to have those little hold marks, but you're going to hold those half notes for 2 beats, okay? So as you practice this, again, we want you to do it saying the letter names I want you to do it singing the words, okay? And then we get into the wise man, right? So the wise man, now we've got the notes with the letter names on them. And we're kind of getting you used to seeing those notes, thinking quarter, half note, dot, and whole note, hold down. So that's our rhythm now, comes from the kinds of notes. We're no longer going to have dash marks to show you to hold it. Okay, so here we go. Start with thumbs on C again. We start with the left hand, forefinger on the G. Just a coincidence, it's the same place. Here we go. G, E, E, F, E, E, D, 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 G, D, D, E, D, D, C, 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 G, E, E, F, E, E, D, 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 E, F, G, F, E, D, C. All right, see that? So that's going to be the wise man. Joy to the World is going to be an optional song. And the reason for that is because there are some timing things and some rhythm things in there that we haven't learned yet. But most people, because they know how to sing Joy to the World, can figure out how to play it, even though we don't have it exactly written the way we sing it. So if we're going to do Joy to the World, we're going to put the left hand finger one on an F, and the right hand finger one on the G. And we're going to play everything so with forefinger on C, D, E, F, and then G, A, B, C. When you look at the music for Joy to the World, or when you put your hands on the piano, you're going to realize we've got two C's. We've got a high C and a low C. So to differentiate them on the music, we put a little arrow up for the high one. And if you remember, as you go up, to the right is up. So the up ones are going to be right hand. The ones with an arrow down are going to be the left hand. Okay? Now, you can say the names of the letters as you play this. You can sing the words. You can say the kind of note or count the beats in a measure. You've got 4 different ways that you can do this. And again, this one is optional, okay? So if you're going to do counting, you've got 4 beats in every measure. So thumbs on F, thumb on G. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, whole note with the tie. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. We kept that beat totally even, and we counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if that's a little too much for your brain at this point in time, that's okay. As long as you kind of understand what we're doing, you don't have to be able to count out loud at this point, but there will become a very important thing that you're going to be doing before too long. Then if you wanted to do it saying the kinds of note to keep that rhythm even, half note, quarter, quarter, half note, dot, quarter, half note, half note, half note, dot, and then on you would go. Now, I mentioned that the timing's a little different. You didn't catch some of those. We kind of simplified those down. If you are comfortable putting those extra notes in that little rhythm adjustment there, go ahead and do that. When I do lessons, many times songs are written a little bit differently than we sing them. And if we already have them in our head a certain way and we sing them that way, I allow students to either do it completely the way it's written or completely the way that we know it and sing it already. So if you want to make those adjustments, that's fine. Again, Joy to the World is an optional piece this time. All right, I hope everything's good. Of course, you can always ask me questions in the comments. If you haven't liked this series, go ahead and pop a like on it too. That helps us a whole lot. It helps Facebook to show our stuff to more people. All right, so once you get a feel for these songs, I will see you over in lesson 7.